Hello, I'm meteorologist Don Luers, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Weather Awareness. Well, we're right in the peak of hurricane season. September, more than any other month, has the most tropical activity across the Atlantic Basin, including the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. And sometimes, of course, that means tropical storms and hurricanes right here in the PD. To help us sort through how prepared it should be for you as an individual or as a family, we're going to be joined now by Michelle Bethea. Michelle Bethea is with the Dillon County Disaster Preparedness Office. Thank you, Michelle, for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you could come by because this time of year, this time of month, and especially over the past many years, we've had more than our share, perhaps, of tropical storms and hurricanes, and people are getting a little bit more used to what to do and how to get ready. But there's some people who are always kind of caught off guard and not sure what the next step should be. So I thought it might be good to have you come in and kind of guide us through the process from when we first heard of a hurricane or tropical storm way on out there, or when one actually is coming, it's here, and even after it's already gone. So let's start with a tropical storm or hurricane that's days and days away out in the ocean, but there's just some chatter and talk it could be coming our way. What should people be doing at that point to make sure that they're ready?
Well, the first thing they should do is make sure they have a reliable alert system. The first question is, how would I receive my alert notifications or any weather updates? And also, you should always look at National Weather Service, look at your local news feeds. If you're doing social media, make sure you're looking at a reliable source of updates on news.
That's excellent, because communication about what's the true word is always the first step to being safe. So you don't want to be going on rumors and everything else. You want the true facts.
That's correct. And the next step you should do is be familiar with what's going on. Whenever a storm is approaching, should you evacuate? Get familiar with your evacuation routes and also your emergency shelters. Locate your emergency shelters early on and go ahead and start having a family emergency plan together. Is essential.
Yeah, well, when someone's making a plan, it's probably a good idea to, where would I go if this happened? Mm-hmm. What would I do with the dog or the cat and anything else like that? Correct. So you can kind of have it all planned out ahead of time so there's less panic when it actually happens, right?
Right, yes. It would definitely ease and relieve a lot of tension beforehand. If you have pets, things to consider, if you have to evacuate and go to a shelter, shelters, they don't accept pets.
Right.
So go ahead and have some type of plan in place. Okay, where are my pets going to go? Already have some kind of supply for food for your pets, and also a basic supply kit for yourself and for your family. And that means to having food, water, clothing, blankets up to 72 hours.
Right, let's take it a little step closer. Now the storm is a little closer. It's looking like a pretty sure thing it's going to come this way, and they're talking about maybe wind damage and flooding. Now it's getting a little bit more serious.
Oh, yes.
You want to be sure that you're already did all those first steps. What are the new additional steps you'd be doing if it was actually for sure coming?
Definitely protecting your home and your property. Review what all you have on your insurance, any insurance updates or anything. Protect your home by securing any loose objects in the yard. If you have a trampoline, maybe try to, tie it down or break it down, or any gutters. You can probably maybe go ahead and try to clean some gutters
things
beforehand.
Like lawn furniture and all those loose items in the backyard. Those can actually increase damage to your house or your neighbor's house by just blowing around and crashing through a window. So,
yes.
And I've always heard, I've seen it kind of play out before, that once you have your first break in your window or your first break in your garage door, that really increases the chance for heavier damage to your house, because now the wind has access to come on in, the rain has access to come on in. So that's great advice there. When the storm is actually here, sometimes it happens at night and people can hear it but they can't see anything. Sometimes it happens in the day and they're trying to watch what's going on. How can you safely ride out of the storm? Let's say you didn't evacuate, you're in a place you think is safe, but the storm is actually hitting and raging outside. What should you be sure to do and not to do during that part of the storm?
Well, safety is priority. The first thing you should do is to avoid going outdoors. I know it's tempting to kind of see what's going on in the neighborhood and what happened to Susie or whoever house, but just stay indoors is the best thing to do. And be alert to any like curfews or anything like that, and just to write it out. Just make sure you are self-sustained and have enough stuff for you and your household, and that's pretty much it. And staying alert to any weather updates.
Exactly. Still try to keep that communication going as best you can, even though the power may be out,
Yes.
and you might be, relying on battery power and things
Right.
by that point, or maybe your cell phone if you still have cell service and a charge in your phone.
Yeah.
I guess that's another thing to do ahead of time is make sure all those type of items are charged up, and
Right.
maybe even have some extra battery type chargers.
We recommend a portable battery charger. If not that, maybe a car charger.
Exactly.
Anything where if the power is out and you can, still gain some type of access to having communication.
Yeah, and that thing about staying inside and not being worried about going out and checking on things is important. I've heard of casualties even locally in the last storm of someone going outside and getting hit by a tree limb and
Yes.
being very severely injured. I'm sure that there's even fatalities because of that. So you do not want to go outside and check on things while the storm is still in progress. Now let's take it one more step. The storm has come, it's done its damage, it's moved on, but it's just a mess outside your house. There's trees down, wires down, maybe some damage to your house. Now what do you do?
Again, safety. You don't want to go near any down power lines. Even if it look like it's not a live wire, just don't touch. Be very cautious with animals. Animals, they're kind of out of their normal habitat, so they're probably, a little irritated. So, just stay away from any strange animals around in the area. Returning to your home with precaution, and only whenever authorities advise you to, because it may be maybe your home is shut off from flooding or anything. So, avoid going around barricades, and that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's one topic we haven't really talked about too much so far is the rain and flooding aspect. A lot of times for inland areas like Dillon and Marion County, it's that flooding that's going to be the highest risk as far as loss of life. People are tempted to find a way around the barricades, and I think I can make it. If it's closed for a reason.
It's closed for a reason.
And you don't want to try and go through there because it might look like you can get across, but the road's washed out underneath and you can't see it, something
Yep.
like that. So
That's correct.
lots of
Turn around,
potential
don't
dangers. Exactly, turn around and don't drown. Well, I think that's all great advice. Hopefully this hurricane season we won't be testing it too much, but
That's right.
it's always good to have that information in our mindset and be prepared. Just looking back, Dillon County and Marion County, I know you're Dillon County yourself as far as your preparedness. How do you think the residents have reacted to recent storms, and how prepared do you think they are for future storms? Do you think that message is sinking in?
Oh, yes.
Very good.
I was actually here for both Hurricane Matthew and Florence. And Matthew, I feel, was an eye-opener. It was a little shocking because we didn't have such a devastation in our area in so long.
Especially the flooding side of it. People have said, I've lived here all my life, I've never seen that.
Right.
But then they saw it again a year or two later.
I heard a lot of people, well, it ain't going to be too bad, and then, it came. And so when Florence came, I seen a different attitude about approaching hurricanes. More people was prone to going out and getting their supplies and getting the water and the bread and everything and generators and getting fuel. And so I feel like our community is a little more proactive about being self-resilient.
Very good. Well, that's why we wanted to have you here to make people proactive, so hopefully that message will get shared some more.
Yes, most definitely.
Very good. Michelle Bethea with Dillon County Disaster Preparedness gave you some tips about how to prepare for tropical storms and hurricanes and how to ride them out if they come our way. We'll be right back after this. If you are in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, you have to check out Parker's Used Cars. Parker's Used Cars is on Highway 38 South in Blenheim, located between Latta and Bennettsville. Tommy Parker, the owner, has built his reputation by selling high-quality vehicles for 29 years. You won't believe the selection. You'll have over 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs to pick from. Check them out online at parkersautos.com. That's parkersautos.com. Or call them at 843-528-3301. Parker's Used Cars in Blenheim, Highway 38. And welcome back to Weather Awareness. Michelle was telling us some basic ideas on how you as an individual or family can keep yourself safe at home. Right now we're being joined by Shannon Carter. She's a nurse with Hospice Care of South Carolina, the same company I work for. And Shannon, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
I thought it'd be great to come by and kind of explain a lot about hospice and educate people about that. But since we are in hurricane season and Michelle just gave us so much good information for a family in general or an individual in general, I want you to focus a little bit on someone who might have a special health care needs in the home, of how they might be prepared and make sure they're ready for a storm that might be coming this way.
Okay. For patients that do have things like oxygen and that kind of thing, you need to make sure that you have plenty of oxygen to make it through, in case there's not going to be a way for somebody to get to you to bring you refills of that oxygen. You also want to make sure that you've got your prescriptions filled enough to last at least a week to 2 weeks, if that's possible, because you don't want to run out of medicine during the event that we have a lot of damage.
That's right. So if the power goes out, you need to, what's your plan B going to be if the power goes out?
That's right.
Make sure you do have enough medicine, like you said, and also if you have a need to evacuate, what type of transportation needs do you have if you're able to travel or not
That's
able
right.
to travel?
You do need to have a plan in place on what you plan on doing. If you do not have a generator, for instance, and you're going to need power and there's a possibility that you're going to be without, where do you plan on going? Do you have a way to get there? Do you have if you need a wheelchair or anything that you may need to be able to be more mobile? And again, you need to have a plan in place before the storm comes to make sure that you have somewhere to go.
Yeah, and it really makes it better, because the last thing you want to add on top of the storm, which is already a trying experience, is a lot of panic and don't know what to do type feeling.
That's
so
right.
If you're more proactive ahead of it and you already have a plan, it makes it a little less chaotic when it actually happens.
That's right. So you do need to have an evacuation plan in place on where you plan on going. And also, make sure that you have your medicines, your oxygen, anything that you may need, your supplies as well, because, if we have any flooding like we did last year, are they going to be able to get the supplies to you? So make sure that you have enough in your house to be able to make it, till the weather clears.
Very good. Now, going away from the storm situation, just to hospice in general, first of all, welcome to Hospice Care South Carolina. It's so nice to have you. I've had a chance to work with you on a few patients that we've helped get into hospice and get started with getting the help. I thought it'd be great for you to kind of paint the picture of what a hospice patient or how a hospice patient can benefit from the services of hospice. To talk a little about who is a hospice patient, what would be a right person to consider hospice as an option?
A hospice patient for us would be basically whenever a person has reached a state in their condition where there's not going to be a cure. You're not going to be able to cure this disease process. We can offer care that can make the patient more comfortable, give them better days, make them make every day a better day than what it would be without hospice. Basically, we're making them comfortable. We're helping them get the supplies that they need, the medicines that they need to help them through this process.
I saw that with my own family. That's how I became familiar with hospice. But my dad was an emphysema patient, and he had gotten to a point where he was one ER trip after another. I mean, it's sometimes 3, even 4 in a 4-week month period.
Right.
And it really depressed him. He was always a little scared. Even if things were okay that day, he was scared something might go wrong. So he was always fearful of his next ER trip.
And that is where we can help too, because the nurse is in there every week. Some patients, we go in there every 2 weeks. It just depends on what the need is, and we can be the voice for the patient and to get them what they need and talk to the doctor so that they don't have to spend all their time going back and forth to appointments.
That's what my dad found out. He was in hospice for 8 months, and after all that chaos prior to hospice, those last 8 months, he had one more ER trip. Those whole 8 months, his mood was better. My mom, his caregiver, was in much better frame of mind, less tense. It just made a world of difference, and that's what I think people need to understand about hospice. It's not about really. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, hospice means you're just giving up." It's really another way of looking at your situation to just try to make, like you said, every day a good one.
every
the best
day
it
a
can
good one,
be.
the best that it can be, and to give you, to give you what you need, and to make you more comfortable. And it doesn't mean that you're in your last hours, last weeks. We have patients that have been on hospice for months,
Yeah.
and sometimes a year, 2 years.
Yeah, it can extend out, and the other side of that coin too is sometimes we have people that actually improve to the point that
They get
kind of
discharged.
graduated off hospice.
They graduate off hospice.
We might
so-
help them again down the road, but
That's
it wasn't
right.
as bad as the doctors thought at that time, and things
That's
have gotten
right.
a bit better. So
And they do. They graduate from hospice at times. And I do. I love hospice. I think that it's a wonderful thing. And especially I have one new patient that he has been so thankful because he was so tired of going to all those doctor's appointments because he didn't feel like sitting in the doctor's office for hours. I can kind of help, get what he needs. If he needs a different medication order, I can call the doctor. It kind of saves him some steps and some trips
Right.
to the doctor and makes his days more enjoyable. And he is able to spend more time with his family, have more quality days with his family.
that's exactly right. Of course, you're a registered nurse. You're one of the nursing team for Hospice Care of South Carolina. Talk about the other disciplines that are out there to help a patient. As the nurse is kind of the leader of the care, the one person that has to be involved, but there's other people available, aides, social worker,
social
chaplain.
worker.
How do they all fit in?
Well, we have our certified nursing assistants that go out and help them with their daily care, and they are the nurses' eyes and ears many, many times. And a lot of times they're in the house 5 days a week, and so they can let us know on different changes that are happening, keep us, let us know what's going on. And we also have social workers that go in and talk with the patient and assist them with whatever needs they may have. Also chaplains, and they can give the support there as well.
And the aide is focused mainly on personal care, bathing,
Personal care, bathing,
things like
dressing,
that.
and things like that. And again, she tells us sometimes if there's a change that maybe I haven't seen. Maybe she was in there. If I'm in there once a week, she can call and say, "Hey, this change is happening here," or "This patient needs this. Can you get it ordered?" And that way, somebody's in there most days.
Right, and for a lot of patients that we help, they may not have a lot of interaction because they're not able to get out much.
That's
so
right.
having those extra faces and
That's right.
friends they turn into come in and interact with them actually turns out to be a very good thing.
That's right. They're less lonely, and they look forward to our visits. And to be honest with you, they become our family, we become theirs, and they are. They expect you to come every day. They're very happy to see us, and it's real fulfilling as a nurse. I really enjoy my job, but I think the biggest part, I think that I see my patients tell me that they like about it is that it does decrease these doctor's office visits. So it takes some of the stress away from them.
That's right, and that's really what the bottom line we're trying to do is make their days more enjoyable, make them
That's right.
more productive, like you said, and spend it with family instead of spending it in the ER,
Yeah.
and it's so much nicer.
And it's nicer to be at home versus being in the hospital because, under the fluorescent lights and, and when you're in the hospital, sometimes you don't get a whole lot of rest with all the nurses coming in and out. This is a way where they can, again, spend time with their family. We can come see them and just make it a more comfortable experience.
Yeah, and one last point I wanted to bring out for folks that may be watching and wondering, how would someone pay for this? It's a Medicare benefit, so it's something that they've more than likely have paid for all their life, and it's just a
That's
benefit
right.
they're entitled to that they're going to use,
That's right.
and it's there for them. Medicare, Medicaid.
Medicare, Medicaid, and VA.
Yeah, VA, sometimes
That
even
way.
private insurance. So it's usually available without any out-of-pocket
That's right.
expense whatsoever. Well, thank you for coming by, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you for your storm tips on how to
right.
stay safe if you're a patient with special needs at home. And thank you again for the overview of hospice. And
Thank you.
thanks for joining our team and the work you do.
Thank you. I'm glad to be there.
Very good. Shannon Carter with Hospice Care of South Carolina. We'll be right back after this. If you are in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, you have to check out Parker's Used Cars. Parker's Used Cars is on Highway 38 South in Blenheim, located between Latta and Bennettsville. Tommy Parker, the owner, has built his reputation by selling high-quality vehicles for 29 years. You won't believe the selection. You'll have over 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs to pick from. Check them out online at parkersautos.com. That's parkersautos.com. Or call them at 843-528-3301. Parker's Used Cars in Blenheim, Highway 38. Welcome back to Weather Awareness. Time to close out our show with what's coming up in Dillon County. And for that, we have Johnny Luers, President of the Dillon County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Johnny, for coming by.
Thank you, John.
Tell us what's going on. What's on your radar this time of year?
Well, we have several different things going on. This is something we haven't done before. We're having a fundraiser for United Way. And United Way is housed out of the Dillon County Chamber office. And so we work hand in hand with United Way. And we support around 23 different agencies in Dillon County. And all of these are 501c3 nonprofit organizations, such as the Free Medical Clinic, the Council on Aging, adult literacy, just different programs that need some extra support throughout the year. We have not done a fundraiser in a number of years. This year we're going to offer something on Wednesday, September the 18th. We're going to do a barbecue sandwich lunch.
Great.
And we're asking folks to pre-order so we know how many sandwiches that we will need. And it'll be from 11 to 2, and of course we're using Schuler's Barbecue. But you'll have a sandwich and some chips and a drink and maybe a little mint or another type of little surprise in there. And the money will stay in Dillon County once again to help the different organizations that are sponsored by United Way of Dillon County.
Well, that's great. Tell us again the date and how to order.
It's going to be on Wednesday, September the 18th from the hours of 11 to 2. You can pick up your pre-ordered sandwich from the Wellness Center here in Dillon. And if you would like to pre-order your barbecue sandwich, you can call the chamber or come by, and we have tickets available. And it'll be $5 for a barbecue sandwich. We have slaw on the side. Not everybody wants slaw on the barbecue sandwich, so we'll have a little tiny cup with that on the side. And some chips and some type of drink, beverage in there, and maybe another little surprise or two.
That's a good fundraiser because a good cause and also a great price. You can't argue $5.
Definitely.
That's
so we're
excellent.
looking forward to that.
Very good. Well, speaking of food, I know it's also time for the taste.
Yes, it is, and we're really excited about our taste. Once again, it's going to be held at Twin Lakes Country Club. It's going to be on Thursday, October the 3rd. 6 o'clock, we have many of our same vendors coming back again. We'll have our Red Hat ladies, we'll have the bread, and we'll have the 4 meats and everything. It'll be, once again, it'll be a sit-down affair because it's easier to just kind of work with the folks and stuff like that. They'll have a chance to kind of network with each other and talk with each other, but we're excited about it. We always have a surprise or two thrown in that we don't tell you about, so you have to be at the taste to know what's going on.
Last year I heard so many people say, I wish I would have gone. I wish I would have gone. So hopefully those people are watching, they're going to go this year.
And of course we limit our tickets. We only have 100 tickets available.
Yes.
So they'll need to go ahead and reserve their ticket because there will not be any tickets sold at the door. We need to know in advance how many's coming, and we limit it to 100 because this is a sit-down affair. So that's what we want. Casual dress, we want you to come. You're usually there. Starts around 6:30, and you're out by between 8:30. So it's a nice evening. It'll be a nice fall evening, and like I say, look for a few surprises because we always have a surprise or two at our taste.
Well, looking forward to having you back next month to find out what the surprises were.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Johnny Luers with the Dillon County Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for watching this edition of Weather Awareness. Stay safe this hurricane season. We'll see you again next month.